Let's talk about what is on the stream title. This is something I found out from Mr. Matty Plays, a friend of the channel, a good guy. Highly recommend you check him out. Mr. Matty Plays. Mr. Matty. That's disturbing. Mr. Matty Plays, he tweeted this out and was like, "Aye, Bethesda. WTF is this? $70 for Skyrim on Twitch?" Todd Howard, buy my game. Yeah, so what they did is they snuck this in the middle of the night. Like when nobody was watching. They just snuck in a $70 release. You can't make this up. Let's see what Matty has to say about it real quick. He'll give us the quick rundown so I can finish my breakfast.
Hey everybody, it is Matty here today, and Skyrim is back. Oh my, oh my. So I thought when we finished our coverage of Anniversary Edition, I distinctly remember saying whether it was on camera or off camera, that's the end of an era. I doubt we'll be talking about Skyrim much moving forward. Well, here we are, near the tail end of 2022. Skyrim is back again, and we got to talk about it because the pricing here is wild. So
it never dies.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new here, you're into Bethesda news, information, conversations, all that good.
Seriously, go sub to Matty. He makes great stuff. He also has a second channel called Retro Rebound. If you even slightly appreciate retro content, retro games, looks at old like products and collector's items, you'll love it. Go check him out. He's fantastic.
Good stuff. Consider subscribing. Happy to have you here. It's always fun talking about Bethesda, but Skyrim, I love it. One of my favorite games of all time. I think we can all agree. It's starting to overstay its welcome, and when you see the price tag here, I think you'll be more inclined to agree. Again, this is coming from someone who loves Skyrim. I always go back to this story, but I flunked a class because of Skyrim in junior year. I'm not necessarily proud of that.
Have I ever flunked a class over a video game? Have any of you ever like flunked a class over that? Or like had a noticeable like step down in your grade? Like I remember having games I was obsessed with, and I remember like, okay, this is horrible. This is horrible. I remember when Breath of the Wild launched on the Switch. Having a portable console was just unreal. I was working a job at the time that was like, we were in a slow season, so there was literally nothing to do. I would finish my work in like an hour and a half, and then I would have, I think I worked 5-hour shifts, like 5 days a week. So I think I had like, you know, another 3.5 hours where I literally did nothing. But it was one of those jobs where like the boss doesn't think that, like, if you are done with your work, they want you to like just look busy and pretend like you're busy for no reason, you know, just like, did you do this, this, and this? Yeah, it's all done. Okay. Well, it doesn't have anything. It was like, you know, did you vacuum this area? Because it was like a janitor job. And I was like, yep, everything's clean. You can go inspect it yourself. It's good to go. And it's one of those jobs because it's cleaning. Like if nobody came in yesterday when I cleaned it, between yesterday and today, it's still clean. Like dust hasn't accumulated in the 24 hours, you know, it's not there. So there just wasn't anything to do. And I remember when Breath of the Wild came out, bringing my Switch and like going into the bathroom and the big like handicap stall, because again the building was completely empty, and I just would put in like 30 minutes of Breath of the Wild, running around having a great time. So like that, it ate up some of my work time, but also like there was nothing to do. So I was like, either I'm going to just walk in circles around a building that's empty, listening to, like, at the time, as cringy as it is, at the time 5 years ago, I was really into like Joe Rogan, and so I would listen to Joe Rogan on a loop and just pace around the building. But eventually I was like, I want to just sit down for a minute, and so I would sit down and play Breath of the Wild until something interesting would happen that would cause me to need to do something. Let's see. Lost a girlfriend to GTA San Andreas. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. No regrets there. I reckon if I ever have a kid and they reach that age, the age I am now, they would have been sold multiple copies of Skyrim too. Oh, probably. Switch games should be no more than $40 new and decline in price after a certain amount of time. A game like Skyrim should be $15 at most on any platform. It's great, but old and releases on 100 platforms. Yeah, well, we were bashing, like I bashed the very first PlayStation review code I ever got. Like the very first one, The Last of Us Part 1. And I said it's great. $70 just as a point of principle. I just don't think it makes sense. It just doesn't line up for me. And that's for a full-on, like, it is, I know we joke, like, remaster, remake, we joke about that. It is a remake. Like, they did remake levels, they remade character models, they did technically meet the standard, I guess, for a remake, but it doesn't fit the sort of, I think, people's expectations for what a remake is. Because people expect remake, they expect stuff to be changed noticeably to the point where it's markedly better over the previous release. Now, if this was the first release and remake, remaster, whatever, since the 2013 release of The Last of Us, yeah, I would be like, yeah, $70, I can probably justify that more. But because the remaster already released for PS4, it's harder to justify for me. But that's all kind of beside the point. All that to say, $70 for Skyrim when it's the same version that launched like 4 or 5 years ago on other platforms, but they're just sneaking it in on Switch. It kind of sucks. And it's also sucky because, like, Skyrim, they have a very controlled market where they can just, like, hide other options, and they can control the market such that, you know, something like Breath of the Wild on the Switch's eShop is still $60, even though you can buy it used for like $5 because there's so many copies out there if you buy the physical version. So it's just kind of scummy. I just don't like it. I don't like it. And they knew what they were doing, which is why they released this thing like in the middle of the night and tried to hide it from people. They didn't do a big announcement. They didn't tell people about it because they know. I mean, they know. They know. They just don't care. And that's one of my frustrations. You're right. We need the cutout. I actually have it right here. I was trying to figure out where to put him. So I put him right here. Todd Howard just chilling in the background. Love it. Oh, love it.
Buying it pre-owned still goes for $45. If you
Pre-owned is $45? That's insane. I will say, like, one of the greatest moves that Nintendo made was building out their eShop, because I also bought a lot of games digitally for more than I should have. Like, if you go to GameStop, this is why GameStop is dying, though. In theory, you should be able to go to GameStop and get the game for markedly less than you would pay new. But like $45 for this new, it's $60. It's better, but it's not great. I think it's just like a self-fulfilling thing. Like it's sort of a, what do they call them? A symbiotic relationship where Bethesda is like, man, it would be great if we could charge a lot for Skyrim Special Edition. Wouldn't it be great if we could do that again? And then like, well, we're releasing it on a Nintendo platform, and people on Nintendo are just used to paying more. They're accustomed to it. They're conditioned. So we can probably get away with it because it's Nintendo. Yeah, if we were doing this on Steam, yeah, we probably don't get away with it. I think we probably don't get away with that. But because it's Nintendo, everybody kind of expects it. And so they just go for it, and they kind of roll with it and use that as the excuse, you know? It's the same thing with like companies starting to charge a lot more, like specifically with regards to like inflation, like PlayStation raising the price of the PS5 by $50. And they say it's because of inflation. It's like, yeah, inflation is a thing. But you were dying to raise the price of this thing if you could manage it. And then you just happen to find an excuse to do it. And in this case, the excuse was was inflation, you know? So it just works out well.